Good evening, everyone. How's it going? Get sorted. Right, who've we got? Norgatron. St. George, hello. St. George, thank you very much for becoming a member recently. I know I've replied to a couple of comments, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you again. Ryan Scale Model World, hello, good to see ya. CJ Thompson is ready. Eric, nice music. I'm glad. I do need to change it up. It's probably been the same music now for like 2 years. Tony RC, hi all. Edward, hello. CJ Thompson again. Let's get some conversation started. What are you all working on tonight? Are you doing some hobby? You chilling? Enjoying Halloween? Hope you've all had a good weekend. Ryan Scale Model World, you haven't worked on miniatures in a while. I think we all go through that. No reason to push yourself. Just do it when you feel like it. Untipper, hello. Edward, hello again. Dino Entertainment, hello. How's it all going? Yeah, so Halloween weekend. I hope everyone's had a good weekend. You might hear some fireworks. If you live in the UK, between Diwali and bonfire night, you tend to get fireworks every day. I'm pretty sure you should be able to hear me. I'm not on mute this time. Yeah, so I'm sorry I missed my live stream a couple of weeks ago just because I wasn't feeling very well. So I thought I'd just wait until like the next time to live stream. So as usual, just gonna chill, hang out, talk. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask them, and then we'll just sort of talk about what hobby I've been up to, what I've been doing, the videos I've been making, what videos I'm planning on making. Yeah. Edward, I'm trying to get my third printer, 3D printer, to print a destroyed Land Raider, but there's something wrong with the file I downloaded. If you've downloaded an STL file, it might not be an STL file. But good luck with that. Stream and painting Paragon Warsuits. Yeah, I saw those in the Discord. I really do like the Paragon Warsuits. Some of my favourite miniatures. Maybe one day I do have an idea to do a tutorial for those, but that's like next year. I always feel a bit, because I don't have any background music, I might start playing some background music in the future. So what have I been up to? So since the last live stream, so the last live stream came out just after, so it came out just at the start of October basically, and through October I had the idea to do orc related content, and I feel like I was quite successful in that. It's been a good month for the content. So we started off with one of my favourite orc miniatures, the shock attack gun. I was really proud of the tutorial as well. This has been on my my list for tutorials for a very long time, but again I sort of hold things off until I feel confident enough to be able to produce a tutorial for it and be able to show you guys how to paint it. So yeah, I was really happy with this one. I do have a second one almost painted. That I do want for my army. So that's on the bench to get finished. When I get around to it, I suppose. So I'll have two of those. I'm not sure whether they're still good in the game or not. Ryan Scale Model World. I was on the Napoleonics, but taking a break for a while. Yes, fine. To be honest, I've taken a week here and there where I've just not done any hobby. Yeah, 'cause sometimes you do need to take a break. The Dino Entertainment. Will you paint Imperial Knights in the near future? I'm getting started to paint the House Terran Knight, the blue one, and I'd like to see how you paint them. Yeah, February, March is my goal to do Imperial Knight, and I will be doing a Terran colour scheme from the box. It's a colour scheme I've always wanted to do. So I will be doing that for the channel. That is planned probably end of February, March time. So the plan is in January. So obviously YouTube is kind of a bit slower in January. So I'm going to take that time to make content where I don't have to worry about it doing amazingly well. So throughout January, hopefully, you might get weekly videos where I'm painting my Tomb King's army for Old World. And then I think after those series of videos, I want to tackle an Imperial Knight. Yeah, and that's been my favourite house colour scheme is the blue. Because I just like the bone accents and the different coloured armour. Which I don't think there is a tutorial really doing them justice. Not that colour scheme anyway. It's always like the people's own custom colour schemes, or it's the red with the chevrons. But I think it'd be fun to tackle the main colour scheme. So yeah, so end of Feb, sort of March time, if you can hold off. But I've kind of been looking at how I'll paint them, so I've kind of got a good idea. Norgatron, I've just brought my first army, Thousand Suns. Yeah, Thousand Suns are really popular. When I first started the hobby, my first army was Chaos, and Thousand Suns are actually my favourite sort of legion and sort of lore, because they didn't have miniatures back then. This was even before the metal miniatures. I remember converting my own Thousand Suns from the old plastic Khorne Berserkers. So you'd sort of file down the trim, and then you'd green stuff and just sort of mark in the stripes. Get rid of all the Khorne symbolism and give them bolters. Yeah, but I remember them being really... I don't think they're as good as they are now. But I remember that they had 2 wounds. And I'm pretty sure the bolters are really good as well. I couldn't tell you like the actual rules. It's been a long time. But this is like 3rd edition. But yeah, Thousand Suns are my favourite army. I'd hope to get around to doing a Thousand Sun army one day. There's lots of different armies I want to do. Antippo, how do you highlight gold? I have Retributor, Liberator and Sapir. I didn't apply Liberator, but seems weird. Like, not stronger colour than Retributor, but it works as highlight. Gold is... For me, I'm always sort of trying new things with gold. So my current thing with gold is I don't actually like the colour of Retributor armour or Liberator gold. I think the Retributor armour is too dark, especially when you apply a shade over it. So something that you'll probably see in recent videos is that I make a base colour of Retributor armour and Liberator gold. So you'll find the colour scheme that I did for the Custodian, the Custodes video, is probably my go-to basic gold recipe now. So I'd always go with the base colour for Retributor armour and Liberator gold, just because it's a lighter gold. So I don't think you get as dark a gold as you do Retributor armour. That's more bronze, if anything. Then if you want to get lighter, you could paint the raised details Liberator gold, just to give it a bit of vibrance. And I think in that video as well, I mixed Retributor armor and Sapia. So I think, again, Retributor armor is too dark. Right-Clan Fleshshade, sorry, is too dark. And I think Sapia isn't strong enough. So I mixed those two as well. And then you can either highlight with Canoptech Alloy or Stormhost Silver. My preferred highlight colour for gold would be Canoptech Alloy. Because I think gold doesn't really have a silver highlight. But it looks better on a miniature. If that makes sense. So that'll be a personal choice. But yeah, so have a look at my recent Custodes video. Because that's probably my current preferred way of doing gold. But I'm always trying to sort of figure out a good way of doing gold for myself. But at the moment, that's my preferred way. The Thousand Suns was the last Warhammer I painted. Yeah, I've seen some of that. Hopefully you'll get back to it. Dino Entertainment, wow, nice. Thanks for the answer, I'm looking forward to it. I'm in the middle of painting an Armiger in Terran colour. I hope Cantor Blue is a good choice, but I'll wait out your night paint tutorial. Yeah, I think Cantor Blue is would be the base colour I would use. But that's all I know so far. I mean, obviously, just go ahead and paint however you want. You don't have to wait. Sweater Boy Cutie. My son wants to repaint our Infernus Marine squad as salamanders. I plan to reprime them off-white and use a green contrast paint so it's easier on the 5-year-old. Any suggestions? It depends what they're already painted. But if your son is a bit younger, then contrast paints are definitely 100% the way to go. I haven't done contrast paints for salamanders, but if you wanted, but it depends how old your son is. I mean, you can go as basic as possible really and just go for one colour. Because the good thing about contrast paints, they're really thin. So later on in life, if they do want to repaint it, it's not going to be such a massive hassle and having to work with multiple layers of acrylic paint that have been painted. But again, I always say when someone says I'm getting my kids into it, I always say don't worry about teaching them to be good at the hobby. You don't need to teach them to like paint or be good at the game. The important thing is, especially if they're young, is to give them a fun experience. Because that's what they're going to remember. So make sure you're painting with them. And it doesn't matter how they're going to paint it. As long as it's like green and they themselves see it as, say, like salamanders, or if you do like little easy games, even if you make up the rules. It's more about the experience you give them with the hobby that's important. Them teaching them how to do it properly, because if you can be overbearing with the hobby, you're going to turn them off. Yeah, so just make sure they enjoy all the processes of the hobby, because that's what they're going to get out of it, and that's what they're going to remember, and that's what's going to keep them enjoying the hobby as they get older, if that makes sense, rather than having to worry about if they're doing it right. Is the preferred, is what I think would be the better approach, but obviously you do you. Edward, I think my print is finally working. Congratulations. I do have my 3D printer still. My friend has my resin printer, because that was a bit more faffy, but I've got my filament printer behind me. And I'm looking to be, because I'm embarking on my Lord of the Rings journey, so I've been looking at all the terrain I can print off for that. I'll show you what I've been working on. Medieval Gaming, it's good to see you again. Welcome to the stream. I haven't painted in a while. My hand was out of commission due to a burn. That's unfortunate. Hope it's better now. Yeah, it's always frustrating when you have some kind of injury that prevents you from doing anything that you enjoy doing. So hopefully it's a quick recovery and you're able to get back to painting as soon as. Jake Clips, do you have a general tip for watering down paints? Yeah, in all my videos I always say, just from a basic level, just start with an equal amount of water. That never goes wrong. And even if it's sort of like a bit more or a bit less, like there's not much difference. You can't really go wrong. And only when sort of like you get a bit more sort of experienced with your paint, you kind of learn different ratios of water and what you're doing. But from a starting point, just an equal amount of water is perfectly fine. It's what I stick to my own painting. But I do have a video on thinning your paints that goes into thinning your paints, basically, obviously, but it sort of talks about why we do it. I think that's linked in the description because a lot of people ask that question, so that video is linked in the description. Ryan, Age of Sigmar might get back into it again. Yeah, as you see here, I've got the iron jaws. I love painting these iron jaws. We'll have a look at these in a minute. Today's Grail, tomorrow's beta. Why is my wet palette turning my paint into water blobs? I've done everything right as far as I can tell. Looks great. It feels right to the touch, but after a few minutes, the paint is a blob. There's a few things that I try and make sure with a wet palette. This is a couple of days old now, to be honest. I need to change it, but I didn't really have time. So if it's a fresh wet palette, you don't want excess water actually sitting on the parchment on top. So if you do see like little puddles or it's really wet, you can just get some paper towel and sort of mop it up, because the top actually wants to be relatively dry. It's not the water in the wet palette that's thinning your paint. You thin your paint as normal. All the wet palette does is create an environment where it stops the paint from evaporating, or the evaporated water is replaced by the seeping water from the wet palette. But it's not meant to thin the paints for you. It just creates a better environment for your paint. But just remove any excess water on the surface first. And when it comes to how much water you put underneath, so I'd pour water over this. It doesn't matter if it covers up, but what I'll do is I'll just tip all the water out until it doesn't, no more water sort of coming out as I tip it out. So that means it's only the water that's soaked up by the sponge that's sort of staying in the wet palette. So those are a couple of things that I sort of make sure I do first, and that'll go for any wet palette, even if you've made it yourself. Those couple of rules there. You don't want loads of water in the bottom. You just want enough water that the sponge is soaked up, nothing more. And then you still want your surface to be relatively dry, and that should help, because you'll probably find that even if you put your paint in a drier area, the water might have sort of like seeped over to where your paint is and you've not noticed, because that happens to me. I went to Warhammer World and did Orcs versus Space Wolves game and I won. Congratulations. It's always good to know that. So, in this edition, Orcs are doing really well. 40k games have always been tough for orcs, but I feel like they're actually worth playing with now. I went to Warhammer World about 3-4 weeks ago, playing some Old World, but that was a lot of fun. I love Warhammer World. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not used to talking this much. It's been a while. I've not actually played a game of this edition of 40k. I don't really know anyone who plays it. I still love painting and collecting. For when I'm ready to sort of find people to play 40k with. Scott T. Hello. I'm just a way to start getting back into the hobby after a long time away from it. I'm going to be painting Necrons. Any advice on how to come up with a colour scheme? Yeah, you either copy one that already exists, or you paint the colours that you like. It's that easy, to be honest. But with Necrons, I suppose you're looking at, as a beginner, you just kind of want to get used to painting. So I'd probably go for the classic, just like silver bodies, and then like the shoulder pads and accents and weapons, you could sort of choose your own colours that way. But I do have a couple of videos on Necrons. One for the main colour scheme, but I've also got sort of a video that goes over painting different dynasties and how you can approach painting the different colours. So just do a bit of research first and sort of decide how you want to paint them, I guess. But always paint things how you want to paint them, because especially in this edition, the way you paint them doesn't really have an effect on how you use them. It's purely cosmetic. So it's really up to you what colour your Necrons are. Slith, greetings Mr. Streamer and hello chat. As I just saw some iron jaws on screen, quickly want to hear your thoughts on painting them with dark red skin and blackened steel armour like seen on Urukai. That sounds a really good colour scheme. I know there's a lot of people who paint red orcs for fantasy, but that sounds like a great colour scheme. It's a great contrast as well. I think for iron jaws, as long as the skin or the armour really sort of, you want a good contrast. And I think reds, and you want them to be nice and vibrant. So yeah, I think that would really work. And you could even paint like white handprints on them, I think, and people would understand what you're trying to achieve, and I think they'll get a lot out of it. Yeah, I think it would look great. You can always do a tester. Medieval gaming. My hand was well enough yesterday that I painted the new Lysander. I've got him right here. I want to start painting him. But I'm glad. Yeah. I was going to ask, does anyone know why the Imperial Fist Combat Patrol is not available? I feel like they removed it pretty quickly. So I was going to buy that. And it's not like it was a limited run, because the other combat patrols are still there. It just seems to be the Imperial Fist one. It seems a bit weird. I wanted the it was just a good box. Baked Nerd. New subscriber here. For the last few weeks I painted my Terminators using the ultramarine method and they look pucker. Thank you so much. I'm really glad. I feel like the Terminator tutorial was a real turning point for the channel, because if you go back and look at the content, you'll see a shift in the style, especially for the thumbnails. So that was a pivotal sort of change in the channel, and definitely one of my not only favorite tutorials, but one of the most important tutorials for the channel, because I really pushed myself, and I think it was one of the first proper tutorials where I did a squad to that level. But yeah, that to me personally, that was a really important tutorial, so I'm really glad it helped. And I feel like I really achieved some really great looking Terminators, ones that was able to match the box in terms of the, like, not just the blue armor, but getting the chips and the checkers and all those extra bits sort of on point as well. It was a good balance. Gundam 0121, hello, happy time of day to everyone. Edward, I did it against my dad, by the way, and somehow Battle Wagon killed Logan Grimnar. If the Battle Wagon had like a bone breaker, bone breakers are amazing, doing a lot of damage on the charge. Yeah, don't underestimate Orc vehicles. I think in this edition as well, you can sort of explode them as well. Scott T, thank you for your response. I'll take a look at the videos. Thank you for your advice. No problem. Nibling, they said it was a limited run box. Oh, they did. I don't know. I don't understand limited edition things, especially limited edition unique miniatures. Like, I understand alternative, like limited edition alternative miniatures, like in TCGs, like the rare cards, like all the fancy stuff, they've at least still got the basic one that you can just get if you want to play with. You don't need the fancy one. I just don't agree with limited, especially in Warhammer. Like, blind boxes don't belong in Warhammer either. Everything should just be available because it's a game. And Tipo, I saw 2 days ago Imperial Fist Combat Patrol in my local shop. Want it, I could buy it and send it, I guess. I appreciate it, it's fine. I can still get all the miniatures around it. It's just a bit annoying that because it's something that I wanted and they don't have it anymore. I should have pre-ordered it when I had the chance. Maybe they'll, well, no, because they've already announced all the battle boxes. It is what it is. I can still get the miniatures. Oh, so they must all be limited edition then. That's it. As long as they're all limited edition, I don't mind. I'm looking. The only other one that I'd be interested in is the White Scars one, because I want the White Scar character. Because I want to. I might buy him when he comes out separate, because I wouldn't mind painting him for the channel. Because I do like painting a White Scar. Yeah, it'll be available on Amazon for more than a normal Combat Patrol box, or more, yeah. Eri Capone, hello. Welcome to the stream. I painted mine as Iron Hands though, used them as a centre my new Iron Hands army, adding Pharos and 2 Dreadnoughts. Already makes a good 1,000-point list of first quick games. Yeah, I like all the Combat Patrols. And I've been looking at them. Because obviously you can paint them any colour, obviously, they're all Space Marines. It's just I wanted the transfer sheet. But I've got so many Imperial Fist transfers now, it's silly. But yeah, though, a Combat Patrol was great for a good start. Gundam, working on some Tau and trying out the Tau skin you released when you did the Tau Viola set. Yeah, it's a nice, easy colour scheme. I think it's rust grey. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of blocked out the Tau tutorial because they were a bit of a pain to paint. They took a while, but it turned out good. Polar Bear. Half of the time, the limited minis just get punted into legends anyway. Yeah, it's like Typhus. Not Typhus. The guy from Space Marine 2. I think they've released him every which way now. Like, I think he's in the character encyclopedia now. So yeah, they've just released him every way possible except just for general release. And especially for such a frontline product that brings a lot of people into the hobby who will want that miniature. It's silly. Titus, yeah, Titus. I would have done one for the channel by now, but because he's not on general release, I don't see why it'd be a good idea to do as a painting tutorial. Hypothetical, if you had to save one brush and one paint right now, what brush and what paint would you save? Probably a medium small, a Citadel small layer. And Imperial Fist Yellow contrast paint. Actually, change the brush to STC medium, so I can paint the Imperial Fist contrast paint. There you go. The Sisters of Battle had Aveline as a limited run, which is such a shame. It's such a cool model and just got thrown into Legends like normal. Yeah, I suppose where they produce these miniatures, I suppose they only have a certain amount of time available for these miniatures to be printed off or pressed out of the machine. Who knows? Sure, there's a lot smarter people than us deciding how they're releasing these miniatures. So let's talk about some hobby I've been doing. So videos for October, we started with a shock attack gun. Really happy with that. Video is now available. It's a really good tutorial, honestly. And I don't care how long you've been painting in the hobby. I think it's really achievable. It's not a quick miniature to paint. I think just the painting of this miniature probably took a good close to 48 hours. So a good 7 days, worth of painting. But every bit of it was enjoyable to paint. And you can see it's not like monotonous. There's so many details and so much interest going on. It was just fun to paint, not boring. Except for the hazard stripes. The hazard stripes, I always try and avoid painting hazard stripes in my videos, but I couldn't avoid it for this guy. It's just tough, you know, showing people how to paint the stripes. But yeah, really happy with this guy. Iron Jaws. So I've been wanting to paint some Iron Jaws for a long time. And I finally found the excuse. I've been wanting to try out the contrast method for them, and I think it really paid off. And I did paint these in less than a week, and it wasn't even that taxing, to be honest with you. I think not including the building and painting, you could paint the whole Iron Jaws box leisurely in probably a couple of weeks, like in the evenings, just taking your time. There are a couple of things that I wished I wanted to do for the video, but there's lots of reasons why I didn't. I needed to get this video done because I had to include the editing, unfortunately. I didn't paint the eyes, so if anyone's watching this and they want to give the Iron Jaws a go at painting, just the extra few things that I wished I'd done with the video, which I forgot about, to be fair. I didn't paint the eyes. For the eyes though, I probably wouldn't use contrast paint. I'll probably do like Mephiston red, just because you have more control over acrylic paint than you do contrast paint, just because it's such a delicate area, and obviously they look good enough, you don't need to. Just depends on how confident you're feeling. Something else, like if I come back to doing Iron Jaws army, which I probably will next year for myself, the way I might try and do the black is give it a dry brush of Dark Reaper first, like a light dry brush of Dark Reaper, and then highlight it Dawnstone. I feel like at the minute the black doesn't pop, or it doesn't like stand out with the yellow. But I think with a bit of a dry brush of Dark Reaper, giving it a bit of a cooler effect, it might contrast better against the yellow. At the minute, I put Doomball Brown into the recesses. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting, making the black look better. I also wanted to paint the jagged markings. I thought that was just a step too far for like a contrast video, but it's something you can obviously do just doing some Black Legion. But yeah, I think the thing that really makes these work is, for the yellow, was the Iandin yellow and contrast medium mix, giving it the subtle sort of orange tones that you see on the new sort of Iron Jaws scheme. But yeah, I was really happy with this video. I loved how the skin came out as well. So this is Gut Ripper Flesh with a thinned down Beltan and Lamy Medium. The reason I use Lamy Medium instead of contrast is, with Lamy Medium, it's less likely to sit on the surface. Like Lamy, I always think Lamy Medium's more fluid, like it'll move around more, whereas contrast paint has a bit more friction to it, so it'll stick to the flatter areas a bit better, the way it's designed. But it just darkens the recesses and just helps the Gut Ripper contrast better. But the way I've done the green skin for these guys is the way I'm going to be doing the skin for my old world orc army when I get around to doing that, probably at the end of next year. Now I copied the box for these guys. But if you to go back to when the Iron Jaws originally came out, they're more just mostly yellow. So you could actually be a lot quicker than what I showed in the video by doing mostly yellow, because a lot of the time was taken up painting the different coloured armour sections, especially for the hard boys. So like the different silvers and blacks, Whereas if it was mostly yellow, the yellow was easier to do. Again, just like that, cyan and yellow contrast mix. Now, the reason I use cyan and yellow is because you get that orange tone in the shading on it. So yeah, I think just doing like the flesh on the ears just adds another level to them, and it's like a really easy thing to do on them. It sort of adds like a focal point, and the old classic brutes. The great thing about iron jaws as well, you don't need a lot of miniatures for an army. I think what I'll do is next year, when I'm feeling in the mood to add to the army, I might do a video showing you what you can add to it. Because obviously you can, there's the weird boy you can paint. I want to paint one of the big gore grunters, the Maw grunter I think it's called. I'd love to paint one of them, but like in this with the contrast paints, and just show people that you can sort of continue on from that video. I think that's what is a lot of stuff is missing from the channel, is going beyond the point of what I've shown you in the video and what to do next. But yeah, I'll just leave these on the screen. But yeah, really happy with those. Obviously in between those videos I did my Orc army showcase, which everyone really enjoyed, which I'm glad about. So I've been painting those as well. I think I might paint some more of those next year, because the last live stream I was sort of talking about the new edition of 40k and how I think it's going to be orcs for the main box with Space Marines. I can't really see what else it'll be. Funnily enough, because I was at Warhammer World recently, as I said, and when I was walking around the miniature hall, a lot of the orc stuff wasn't in the cabinet, which means it's out for like it's having pictures taken, and I can only imagine it's being used for PR stuff, not like rule books or anything like that, because they're probably already created and being printed as we speak, but anything else like white dwarfs or website images or just shots, it's a good sign. There wasn't much of the Ultramarine stuff there as well, so that was another good sort of indicator it's probably going to be orcs. Edward, what are your 5 favourite orc models? The Flash Gits, the Shock Attack Gun, I love all the, I'm gonna put all the trucks, all the new trucks under one tier. I really like the Mega Knobs actually, and I just love the old Orc Boys because they're just classic. I think those are my 5 Orc models. Also, I think Orcs are the only factions who don't look their best in Grimdark. Yeah, Orcs look better when they're just a million different colours. just because obviously all the clans are represented by the different colours. But I agree with you. Untippo, well, I have to say it, cool Space Marines, cool Orcs, cool Custodies, but when waifus, when Yvain, Celestine and Greyfax, I still have plans to do some Sisters of Battle. You're probably looking next year. I've only got 4 videos to make until the new year, because obviously there's a video every other week at the minute. So next week is going to be a video on different ways to base your miniatures. I'm not sure of the video after that. In my head, I want to do a video on my Imperial fists and sort of how to tackle painting an army. I think that'd be quite fun, because just because of the past couple of videos have been more sort of army based, they've been quite popular. Now it's not, I don't want to make exclusive contents like that, but I've already got a lot of Imperial fist stuff that I want to paint up personally, so I might use it as an excuse to get those painted. But who knows? I haven't really thought about what are the videos, or the other 2 videos I want to do before the new year. They will have to be quite low energy videos, just while I get a lot of stuff done behind the scenes. But next year, when I'm ready to sort of ramp up what I do for the videos, Sisters of Battle are definitely in there. I want to, next year you'll probably start to see maybe more sort of how to paint so and so for beginners. So for example, how to paint Sisters of Battle for beginners. They're sort of like an approach to painting an army, because I'm probably going to sort of try and lean away from high level box art painting. No, I'm not saying that what I come up with, like the Iron Jaws are going to be a good example. Like before, I'd try and copy the recipe from the studio or Heavy Metal to achieve what they have on the box. Whereas like these Iron Jaws, I've sort of come up my own way to try and achieve the same look on the box, but in a much easier way. So this kind of painting is probably the direction the channel's going to go. I think it's more universal. So when you do see Sisters of Battle video, there'd be no reason to completely just redo what I've already done. That's already on the channel, so I'll do it in a much easier way, I suppose, but still trying to achieve the same level or the same look. I also want to do a vehicle for Sisters of Battle, because I want to do the stained glass. I think that'd be fun. The flashiest get around, you're going to try painting the big pig for your Oryx at any point. It's one of my favourite models for Age of Sigmar. Yes, as I say, like with the Iron Jaws, as I said, when I come to expanding my own collection, I'll probably do a video. And the more Grunter is a miniature I'd love to paint. Next year as well, just with a change of theme of content, which is, to be fair, it's going to be a lot better than it has been. It's going to be more approachable for people, I think, and it's going to be more fun for me, but I don't have to try and aspire to paint at such a high level all the time. But I will be doing paid content that's still on the books. That's kind of what I'm working on behind the scenes. So there may be stuff that will just go to Patreon and members, for example. And something I thought about, if I did expand the Iron Jaws, one of the videos that I'd probably make paid content is the Maw Crusher or the dragon. I think that's what it's called, like the special character. So stuff like that, like characters. I will probably do an extra video for supporters, because I need to pay the bills at the end of the day. I think that's the best way to do it, but there's still going to be plenty of great free content on the channel. So that's still my bread and butter, but there's going to be extra content for supporters, for supporting the channel. Today's Grail, tomorrow's Beta. Got a run, but want to say you made the best tutorials. Got me painted super nice by my 4th mini. I'm really glad. If you watch this later or if you're still around, thank you very much for being here in the stream. And good luck. Cato Sicarius, bro. Una pregunto. I can't read Spanish, I'm sorry. If anyone can translate that for me. But if it's a nice comment, I appreciate it. Thank you. I am embarrassed. I don't. If I get comments in another language, I'll use Google Translator. But I do appreciate you being here, if you are here. Fixu, please more Votan. I want to make Delve Assault Army and some Earthshakers. Berserkers would be great. Unfortunately, the Votan just wasn't that popular. So it's going to be a while before you see any more Votan on the channel. Which is a shame, because I'd love to paint more Votan. But it'll probably be like this time next year if I get around to it. So unfortunately, that's why I kind of chose like what I painted in the video. I kind of chose that for a reason, because it's got a couple of different armor colors. You can actually paint their vehicles using that tutorial as well. But hopefully by just watching my videos in general, other than the Votan, you sort of pick up techniques and different colors that you could put on, that you could bring over to Votan. It's just not at the top of the list, unfortunately. Maybe if I do like maybe I'll do a paid content video for them, but that's it. Again, that'll probably be sometime next year. Would be cool if you can get that Kill Team Night Lords versus Adeptus Sororitas. I always try and avoid doing the Kill Team stuff, because they're like, the miniatures themselves are quite unique because they're special to Kill Team. But just in general, what I paint for the channel, a lot of it is 40k, which is Kill Team. And I've already done Night Lords in a video, and technically the Sororitas. But if it's something that I really want to paint, I'll paint it. Like, I get a lot of requests from a lot of people saying I should paint this, or it'd be really great to paint that, you should do this and that and this. But there's only a limited amount of videos I'm making, because it's just me doing this channel. So I've got to be careful with what I'm painting. And it's got to make sense to me, and it's got to be something that I really want to paint. Edward, gotta go. I'm sad. Thank you very much for being here. If you still are, thank you very much. Good luck. Ryan, I'm glad you're back on Napoleonic. Igor. Zagorodny. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Hi, I love your content. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here in the stream and letting me know. I really do. Daniel T. Yo. How's it going? Nathan Vanderberg, howdy all. Teshnika. Hey, hey. I sound really stupid reading that. I'm trying not to be like sarcastic. It's just my demeanor as an Englishman, I suppose. I'm trying to be like, you know, but I really appreciate you commenting. Oh, when can I paint Kato Sicarius? Any characters, like for the channel now in general, I'll probably avoid doing characters. Characters will probably now move over to supporters. But I'm trying to figure out a way that people can buy the tutorials individually for like £3. But Sicarius is a great miniature to do. And an obvious one because he's an ultramarine at the end of the day. The only other characters I'll probably paint for the channel, I want to do Araman, and I still want to do Commander Farsight for the actual channel. Fixu, that's fine. So you asked about the Votan. I'm painting some right now, and stream in the background helps focus. Yeah. Again, I would love to paint every miniature, but it just takes so. Painting a miniature for the channel, if it's like an individual miniature or say like 5 or 6 miniatures, it can take anywhere from like 4 full days to say 8 days. Because you have to remember, I'm also filming bits at the same time and getting different shots, so it's not just speeding ahead and just painting, which would be a lot quicker. But because there's a lot of stopping and starting and making sure what I'm doing is working, it kind of slows it down a bit. Whereas if I was able to paint a miniature in a couple of days and edit it in a couple of days, I'd be happy to do a tutorial every week, which gives more options for things I can paint for the channel. Which I tried last year, and I really enjoyed that. But I just couldn't keep it up just because of how long it takes to paint a miniature for the channel. Because I still want to make sure I give you the quality of content. But if anyone ever wants any advice on how to paint something, or wondering how I would paint something, that's obviously these live streams are great. You can ask me how I would paint this and that. You can email me, or you can even just leave a comment on the videos. I know like a few live streams ago, someone super chatted how to paint Crimson Fists. I am going to do Crimson Fist tutorial. I'm just waiting for a time where I think people wouldn't be fed up with yet another Space Marine tutorial. But it may be like a Crimson Fist tutorial might be one of the videos I do before the end of the year. But people have been asking for Crimson Fist for a couple of years, and I think like any Space Marine tutorial is going to be popular enough that it's worth doing. But again, people can always ask questions how to paint things. I'm happy to answer. Igor, how are you going to make your Ironjaws parade ready? Honestly, I think they're already parade ready. They've got nice contrasts, depth, there's highlights. I've done some weathering with chips. There's not really much. I only really need to base them. If I wanted to take these to... If I want to go further with them, I would probably paint some of the markings you see on the box, like the jagged lines or the black tooths on the shields. And obviously paint their eyes. But generally I don't think there's much I'd have to do to make them parade ready. I think they're very nice display, ready for display already. Nathan, any advice? Current videos on painting gems. I'm painting the Custodes armor gems right now. Yeah, go watch my Custodes videos. I paint gems in those, funnily enough. I also paint gems, like gems and lenses. They're all very similar. So if you want my most up-to-date way to paint them, just watch some of my most recent videos. And I'm pretty sure I paint gems in the Custodes video. Teshnika, love the vids, hope you're doing great. I am, thank you very much. I'm doing a lot better these days. I'm ready to get back at it. The flashiest get around, that's completely fair. You should always paint when you feel your best Warhammer for raising spirits, not breaking them. Ignoring the law, of course. Would you ever be interested in painting a kill rig? And if so, would it be a paid video? I've already done a kill rig for myself. I probably won't do one for the channel, just because I've painted the squig hogs on the channel, and that goes through painting the squig and like the armor for the beast snaggers. So everything in there you can use to paint the kill rig. It's just bigger. In terms of if you want to think about how to approach painting something that large, I kept the squig separate and the main body separate, so I didn't stick it to the base. And then obviously I just kept all the bits, like all the guns and bits, separate. But there's plenty of like orc tutorials on the channel now that combined you're going to be able to find everything you need to paint the kill rig. So I painted a shock attack gun recently just because of how unique the miniature is and how different it is to everything else in the range. So I'll try not to repeat myself too much. I know there's a lot of Ultramarine content, but there's always something a bit different in each of them. Or if I feel like I have an updated way of painting something, I'll also do a new video. I think for a lot of the orc stuff, I'd paint that exact the same way I've already done the video for. Like the Custodes video, for example, I updated that because it needed updating. So I felt bad that people going back and watching that old video, and that's not how I would paint them now. Do you recall, Igor, do you recall how many hours did it take to paint the Neuro Tyrant? I almost went insane painting mine, took like 10 to 12 hours. Well, the one I painted took longer than 10 to 12 hours, I can tell ya. I think I lost my mind with that one. That probably took... That was probably a good 6 days. 6 full days. So you're talking like 36 hours, 30 plus hours. Updated Death Corps of Krieg. Yes, that's on the list, but next year. I'm probably like to... I'd like to do a beginner friendly video for the Death Corps. I never know how to say that because I always say it wrong. I know it's Death Corps of Krieg. I can't help but say Corp. But yeah, the Death Corps of Krieg is on my list to do. Just like the Sisters of Battle, it's just deciding what kind of video I want to do for them. Because it's a nice fleshed out army, and I think it's a popular army for a lot of people. Nick Deacon, good evening. Welcome to the stream. The thing I've been working on this week, I've been working on a website while updating the website. It's probably a bit all over the place at the minute. as I work on it, I'm publishing what's there. So if you do go to my websites, you'll probably see it changing a lot. And I wouldn't even go to it on the on mobile. So apologise for that. But if you want to see like what I'm working on with the website, the best place to do it is on desktop and see what I'm doing. But I'm hoping to have sort of like a basic working website, hopefully by the end of this month. So some of the things I want from the website, there's going to be a lot of articles on there. I'm sorry, I keep coming into the line. It keeps washing me out. So the website, the main goal for the website is have a place for people to go to get more information on top of my videos, or even just the same information but digested in a different way. So there's going to be a lot. I want to try and do articles on there. So to start with, a lot of the articles will be a representation of videos that I've already done, like beginner videos or how to thin your paints. It's going to have a big focus on how to get started in the hobby, because a lot of new people come through TableTopReady. So I think it'll be a good place where I can unravel a lot more information for people to sort of get hold of. It'll have like links to all products and stuff that I use as well. I want to do a monthly newsletter you can sign up for. Just sort of keeping people up to date every month. I have the idea of I'm going to make a free PDF that you'll get when you sign up for the newsletter. That's an idea. What else? Yeah, so it's just, I want the website just to have a lot of stuff going on for it, and just a good place to sort of communicate what's going on and things and ways you can support the channel. It's also going to be a place where I can upload, say, like STL files I've created, or videos that I've made that you can sort of pay for individually if you didn't want to support through a platform. And that's one of the main goals. But other than that, that's going to be an ongoing project for the rest of the year. So on top of that, I've made sure to have some personal hobby time. And something I've been really wanting to get into a lot recently is the Lord of the Rings game. So I've been playing a lot of Old World, but I want to just do like a nice skirmish game. And I love Lord of the Rings. All the books, all the lore, the background. I read all the books. Well, I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit once a year. So I bought myself the Minas Tirith Battle Host. So you get the Warriors of Minas Tirith, 6 knights. But you get Gandalf the White with Peregrine, Took, Pippin. Gandalf the White is probably my favourite character. Quite obvious. I think it's a lot of people's favourite, but that's why I wanted this box. So this is where I am with that at the minute. I built everything in like a couple of evenings, just nice and chill, and then undercoated everything. I wouldn't worry about what colour I've undercoated everything. I've just used what I've got sitting around, what I've got little bits of. Obviously red's good for browns, but all the Minas Tirith warriors, I've done the silver. So this is, I've painted Brune Lord, Runefang Steel, because, well, I undercoated lead voucher, but that's way too dark. So I started off with Runefang Steel, then Norn Oil, and then a dry brush of Stormhost Silver. but like a light dry brush. So they're all done. These are my sub-assemblies for knights. This is just using cocktail stick. So I've drilled a hole. So instead of, I don't like using pins, but cocktail sticks work great. So you just drill a hole instead. And I've just put a bit of super glue to keep it in place. There's no other way. Like my usual method is like bits of sprue, but I couldn't figure out how to do that in a way that was comfortable for get around the miniature. So I use this method, the cocktail stick. Gandalf. I love the character miniatures for this game. The other host box I want to get is the orcs with the Witch King. But I'm going to be doing Minas Tirith first. So I want to get I want to get some rangers. I want to get like Faramir, Boromir, Denethor, like the Citadel Guard. So I'm all in. I think these guys are pretty straightforward to paint because obviously it's the silver armor and like black details, and most of the time I can spend on doing a nice job with Gandalf. But I'll keep you. I'll bring the I like to update people on my hobby in the live streams, so I'll keep everybody up to date on how I'm doing with these guys. I'm not doing any content for this stuff. This is the stuff I want to do for me. I'll show you in the live streams as I paint it up, and once I figure out how to paint it all. If you were in the 41st millennium, what faction would you like to be in? I will unsub if you say Tau. Well, I think everyone wants to be a Space Marine. I think you're probably the safest being a Space Marine. So I'd be an Imperial Fist. Easy question. Or Custody. Something where I'm able to survive. Or something, or just a human on some kind of farm world out of the way. Where's my site hosted? I can give you a free premium plan on Wix for a year. Igor, I do use Wix. If you want to email me, I'd appreciate that. That would be amazing. I do use Wix actually. So I've tried Squarespace and I tried using WordPress as well, but Wix has been so good to use. But that'll be amazing. Yeah, just email me. That'll be amazing. Thank you. Something else I kind of got ready. I've had a Land Raider sitting around unpainted for a couple of years now. So I finally bit the bullet and I'm getting it ready to paint yellow. So this is going in my Imperial Fist army. So I'll probably paint this after I've done some Lord of the Rings stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Land Raider. The Land Raider is my favourite vehicle in Warhammer 40,000. I've got my fingers crossed that because they've been updating and redoing the Terminators, I'm kind of hopeful that they might do a new version of this Land Raider. Because this is a bit of a pain to build. It's an old... This came out when I started the hobby. You're talking 98, 97. This came out. Oh, that's nearly 30 years. Silith, Land Raider. Giving that Land Raider a pink recess shade before going all over with yellow contrast. I know the pink method is quite popular. I don't use that method. So these are my Imperial fists that I paint. As you can imagine, these are contrasts. Like for my own personal stuff, most of the time I love using contrast paints. But I like to create the definition after. So this is, so if you go on the channel, if you go to, you can find like the Imperial Fist Kill Team video. And that's basically how I paint my own Imperial Fists. So this is just Imperial Fist yellow over Wraithbone, but it's a thinned down so it's Cassandora yellow, but I've made like a pot where it's thinned down with like an equal amount of lamy medium, and then I apply it all over, and that gives me sort of like some nice sort of tones and definition. Just because I think the pink method takes too long. And I know Warhammer, I think is it Warhammer Girl, who did a video using that method. It looks great. So that's an alternative way, but it's not something I do. This way just gives me more control on where the shading is. But that's how I'll be doing the Land Raider. So just Imperial Fist yellow with just washed all over with my thinned down Cassandora yellow. And then highlighted Dawn yellow. That easy. It shouldn't even take that long. Probably do it. If I did it in like 3 evenings, I could probably get the main yellow done. Then I've just got all my sub assemblies and stuff done, ready to paint. So obviously I'll show this on screen as I do it. I've also built and undercoated 5 intercessors with bolters. I built 5 because I thought I'll do 5 to bolster up the 5 intercessors you get in the Imperial Fist Combat Patrol box, but that box isn't available anymore. So what'll happen is I'll buy a squad of intercessors. I'll use 5 for my own army, and then I'll use some paint for the channel. Because I'll be doing some chapter colour schemes next year. So some of the chapters I want to paint next year, I want to paint, I think Lamenters I want to paint. And the Mantis Warriors. Definitely want to paint those. I also want to do more Age of Sigmar content next year as well, because I've really enjoyed the Iron Jaws. But with the Age of Sigmar stuff, I'm probably not going to do individual models like I do with 40k. I think it works well with armies, like beginner videos. So I might do in the same fashion as I did the Iron Jaws Spearhead. I'll probably do the Stormcast next. I also want to try and figure out a way how to do the Nighthaunt, because I like Nighthaunt. I love the Nighthaunt miniatures. But yeah, I've got a lot of ideas for content, so I'm looking forward to next year. I was going to do some of this stuff. Niall and people, hello. Welcome to the streams. I'm glad you're here. The flashiest get around. Yeah, my mate tried that pink method, but it ended up being too dark. They looked more like the Knights of Griffin. So the pink method works really well if you airbrush, because you need to be able to control the opacity of the yellow. So it'll either be pointless doing the pink method because it gets completely covered up if you hand brush yellow. It is good with contrast paint, but you need a really thin pink. So if you were to do the pink method, I'd probably thin down the pink first. So if you're doing contrast method, I would thin down the Volupus pink with, say, like an equal amount of the contrast medium and do that, because you still want a lot of the Wraithbone colour for the yellow. That was originally because I tried that out for that kill team video, but I couldn't make it work. I preferred the method that I ended up doing. It was more subtle and it was just a lot easier to achieve. I was gonna eat some of these. I don't know what time it is. So it's 8:30. I'm probably going to be on for another half an hour. So yeah, again, just keep your questions coming. Niall, how can I paint Fulgrim's wing? Now there is a question. I don't know what Fulgrim's wings look like. Let me have a look. I imagine you're talking about the new plastic one. Fulgrim. Okay, I've got him. So, I mean, it depends how you paint the rest of his body. Honestly, there's a lot of texture in the membrane, so you can get away with doing a lot of light dry brushing. So I'd obviously start with black, like the I don't know what you call the things between the member, like the fingers of the wing. I would paint those like you normally would, with whatever colours you're using, but the membrane in between, I'd just dry brush, but don't do heavy dry brushing. And always use reference. So if you go onto like the Warhammer website or just Google it, you'll be able to see pictures of it, and you can sort of certainly see where to dry brush your colours. Depending on what purples you use. It doesn't seem that complicated, honestly. As long as you stick to the like base colour, create definition by making the recesses darker, and then do some basic highlighting, you can't go wrong. And then just dry brush whatever colours you think you need on the membranes. Just because there's a lot of texture on the wings, you can get away with light dry brushing, and it'd be pretty quick to do as well. Just take your time with it. That's where he went wrong when he was doing primer, going back over with Emperor's Children and then brushing the primer colour back over. Oh yeah, you don't need to do that. Yeah, just thin. Like if you think something's going to be too strong, it's better to thin it down. So thin the Volupus pink down, or the whatever purple you've decided to use. I mean, Emperor's Children seems pretty strong. You could always use a shade, but you want to make sure that that first pink colour is very thin as well. PP, what is the best wet palette? The wet palette I use is linked in the description of all my videos. You can also, there's a couple of videos where I'll show you how to make a wet palette. So if you watch my highlighting video, how to highlight, I'll show you how to make a quick wet palette. It all just depends on what you like using. But there's no best anything. Just find one that you can afford. But you need to decide if a wet palette is something you like to use to start with. So there's no point going out and spending £40–50 on a wet palette when you've not used one before. So if you're adamant on buying one, the one I use that I use every day, and the one you see me use in the videos, I think it's like £6. Or you can make one from a plastic container, some paper towel and parchment paper. And only then, if you know it's something you like to use, would I invest in maybe a fancy one. Like I've seen people on their painting desk where half their painting desk is just one massive wet palette. And I just think to myself, like, that must be really awkward to paint with. But if that's what they like a big wet palette, it's just unnecessary. Michael, hello. What static grass do I use? So if I ever need like basing stuff, I'll tend to go to Geek Gaming Scenics. I've never had a bad experience with them. He used to have a YouTube channel, but now he just sells like basing material. You can get like PVA glue there and loads of different mixes and stuff like that. That's my favourite place to go for static grass, gravel, any other sort of basing stuff. Hey dude, watching videos really make me help you a lot. I'm really glad. I wish I could say your name, but know that I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's why I love making the tutorials. It's crazy to think that people use my tutorials to actually paint stuff and actually achieve things from it. Like they're not just a gimmick, which helps a lot. Have I done any of the Primarchs for the channel? I'm thinking again, Angron, he's just so cool. I've actually got Robute Gulliman ready to paint, but any Primarch that I do will become paid content. So I'll be doing the two loyalist Primarchs first, so the Lion and Robute Gulliman. The third Primarch I'll be doing is Magnus. I'm too scared to paint Mortarion. I think Angron would be quite fun to paint. Fulgrim, I'll probably eventually I'd like to paint all the Primarchs. But again, they'll all be paid content for the Primarchs. But yes, I will be painting them. But that's like that's a project for next year. You got Magnus, Mortarion, Angron, and Fulgrim. Yeah. I'm hoping they need to bring out another loyalist Primarch next year, because it seems unbalanced. I know there was, I think everyone expected a Primarch to come out this year. Like, I think Dawn was rumoured for a while. But I don't know. I'd like to see the White Scar Primarch come back personally. Or, to be fair, I think Space Wolves would have been an obvious choice. Would I like to see Dawn back as an Imperial Fist player? I would, yeah, but I just feel like he's not so different from Reboot Gulliman. Does Games Workshop give me any stuff for free? They don't. I have sent emails to ask them how I get on the sort of promotions thing, but no one ever answers my emails. I've kind of come up with my own conspiracy that someone doesn't like me at Games Workshop, especially if they won't even answer my emails. So if anyone is watching, please answer my email. But no, I don't get anything for free. Everything is paid for by me and the supporters. So that's why like Patreon and memberships are really important for the channel. Because a lot of the time, in all honesty, the videos don't break even. Sometimes the videos don't pay for what I paint in them. Eventually they do, but it probably takes about 6 months. Yeah, I imagine Angron's probably the easiest. It's just a big bloodthirster. Yeah, Vulcan, I think Vulcan would be great. I think Vulcan should be the Primarch that comes back next. Definitely. I want to do a Northway army next year as well. So, like this year, I'm gonna concentrate on carry on working on my Imperial Fist and starting Lord of the Rings. I'm ready to sort of go full in on Lord of the Rings, just because it's something I love personally anyway. Next year, Tomb Kings, I want to do an Orc army. Because I mostly play Old World, I'm probably more focused on getting armies done for that. But for 40k, I'll probably I want to do an Eldar army or Eldari army. I need to finish some Tyranids. Age of Sigmar, I'm definitely going to carry on doing the Iron Jaws just because of how quick I can paint them. I think it's good content for the channel. But I'll probably only paint what I paint for the channel for Age of Sigmar. Yeah, with Games Workshop, I mean, there's lots of reasons why. I'm sure they approach people themselves, or you just need to know someone. But I love this hobby and I don't mind. I mean, I get to paint Warhammer miniatures most days. So I'm not really that upset, honestly. And I feel like if I were to enter sort of like that scheme where I receive the product, I'd then have to start having deadlines on, and then they would sort of have control over what content I produce, whereas at the minute I quite just like having the freedom to do what I want and how I want. It seems most likely the Vulcan is going to return first, especially Vulcan Heston fairly close. Yeah, he's definitely been, he's had snippets in the lore as well. Pavax, hi bro, will you do a tutorial on how to paint demon engines in the future? What kind of demon engines? I don't know. To be fair, I haven't really thought about that. As I was saying earlier, I know I'm going to do an Imperial Knight. I've also done Chaos Legions video. I've done like a Black Legion, and I've done all the other legions as well. Maybe that can help. But I haven't really thought about demon engines personally. I never say never. Any plan on going to the Golden Demon next year? I've kind of quietly told myself that I'm probably never going to enter Golden Demon. Just because I would want to be... I would want to compete in Golden Demon personally, properly. But that means real dedication and changing the way I paint at the minute. And I think I actually enjoy more of the collecting armies and painting armies more than I do painting individual miniatures. But I think Golden Demon's amazing. I just don't think it's for me. I'm happy just getting on with what I'm doing. Distraction Carnifex, didn't you say you were going to do a tutorial on the Impulsor or Repulsor in the previous live? What happened to that? That's still on the books. Again, it's just sort of thin it in and getting the time to do, because that's going to be quite a big project. But doing a vehicle for Space Marines is an obvious thing that I do need to do for the channel. So that's probably going to be next year. The next time I could probably fit that in will probably be March time. April. But that is definitely on the books, especially with the new edition coming up. You'll probably start to see content like that. That's sort of the missing bits on the channel. But it is still going to happen. The Forge Fiend or Mauler Fiend, because I'm starting a 1,000 Suns army. Honestly, you'd probably paint them like you would your 1,000 Suns, because it's still the armor panels and the trim. There's not really much different. I know there's flesh on there. But in terms for a lot of it, I think you'd probably approach it the same way you'd paint your 1,000 Suns. I always say, like, always just go in with a plan. So for every video, obviously I write a script and I sort of plan out how I'm going to paint things. But that's a lot of the reason for the success I have in finishing these miniatures. Is going in with a plan rather than sort of trying to figure out as I go along. Is what you can do then is you can just be like, okay, next I'm going to paint the tendrils. Is there a tutorial that I could use that already exists? Or the flesh on my Mauler Fiend, maybe I could use some that's already there. Because I always like to think that my videos aren't just teaching you how to paint that specific thing for that video. I like to think it's teaching you how to paint in general. Can you recommend a mix for homemade brush on primer paint and washes? I wouldn't know where to begin thinking about that, if I'm going to be honest. I've never really thought about it. I know there are some great brush paint primers. I know AK and Vallejo do some really nice brush painting primers. And like primers and washes are very unique in their chemistry and how they're made. So even if you were to do them homemade, I just don't think they'll be to a quality that's worth doing. I think it's just worth investing the money in good quality products, because at the end of the day you want your miniatures to last, and once you've painted them they'll last for the rest of your life if you do them properly. So I think it's worth the investment instead of trying to like cut corners. My dad's first model was the 90s metal Balrog, but he messed it up and just never really returned. Thankfully I've managed to get him back, but I think it would be really cool to see paint a Balrog. I think that is a great idea. I think that is a good idea. That would be a cool tutorial to do for the channel. Whether I do Lord of the Rings content for the channel, I don't know. Because just in general, I think Lord of the Rings is in a very weird sort of place for Games Workshop at the minute, because I don't think Games Workshop really know what they want to do for it. I think the War of the Rohirrim was a big distraction for them. And unfortunately I don't think that film hit very well. But now they're sort of in this lane where they're producing a lot of miniatures for that film, and they're great miniatures, but I feel like they just need to get back on track and go back to the main films and sort of continue producing miniatures from that. It's just the disorganized sort of model range. I think that's very off-putting for a lot of people who want to get into it, because they can see the miniatures as being really old. I mean, I got the command for the Minas Tirith miniatures, and these are metal miniatures still. I can't remember the last time I built and painted a metal miniature. We're probably talking like a good 15-20 years ago. So that was weird. Are you ever going to do tutorials on less major Space Marine chapters like the Tome Keepers of Exorcists? My rule is going to be, if I've not heard of them, I probably won't do a tutorial. I would imagine that you could probably watch any of my Space Marine tutorials and be able to paint any Space Marine chapter. I'll just change the colours that I use, but the idea of highlights and recess shaders are universal, and even when I do like, say, like the scratches and the chips and stuff like that, again, it's universal. You can sort of apply all this to any chapter. But moving forward, I probably will do more different chapters rather than the sort of the main legions. Rogue Spartan, none of the miniature painting brands exist where I live, so if I want to paint miniatures I have to go overseas to get them, which is overall too expensive, so I will take the best I can get. Oh, I got that is something I hadn't thought about that. But honestly, I wouldn't know where to start, unfortunately. Maybe ask ChatGPT if you're able to get hold of that. I would have thought Vallejo was quite easy to get hold of most places. In terms of washes, you can paint your miniatures in a way where you didn't need washes. So like recess shading, for example, is a great alternative for using washes. And that's just thin down acrylic paint. It just depends your style on painting. As a personal preference, I prefer doing recessed shades. The only time I will use shades is for, say, metals. You've also got the option of maybe, so like Army Painter, for example, or even Games Workshop, they've got the contrast paints and the speed paints. You could use those as an alternative to washes. But I just don't know personally how to make a wash. Even if I wanted to, that's something I would have to find out as well. But yeah, there's no option where you can use a wash. Maybe find alternatives to what the wash does, if that makes sense. So like recessed shades, for example, or using a different kind of product like a contrast paint or a speed paint. The only thing I can suggest, maybe look in if you've got like an art shop, maybe there's, say, like a Winsor & Newton alternative. I know they do like mediums and washes and stuff like that. You could even have a look at oil paints, and creating like an oil wash maybe. But that's quite difficult. If you're going to go down the route of, say, like an oil wash, you would have to gloss varnish your miniature first, because the enamels in your oil will affect the acrylic paint. But that's the only thing I can suggest. Like, if you can't figure out how to make your own, it's just looking at the alternatives to using shades. Yeah. Baked Nerd, Balrog confirmed. Maybe. I would love to do a Balrog and Goblin army. That's on the list. My plans for Lord of the Rings, so after this Minas Tirith army, I want to do like a Shire warband. So I want to get Gandalf with the cart and all the hobbits. I also want to do a Fellowship of the Ring. So I want to get Fellowship of the Ring and Bill the Pony. I think that's one of the lists in the book. There's a lot of it I want to do thematic games as well with the characters from the films, not just generic armies just fighting against each other. I just want to have fun and play different scenarios from the films, and just have fun with friends doing that. Dish Flop, yo, that's quite a name. I like it. So I think we're gonna wrap it up, probably about another 5 minutes. What time is it? Yeah, it's coming up to 9 o'clock now. My voice is going. I've talked a lot, as I usually do. I was going to do some Minas Tirith stuff, but I kind of run out of time. But I'm glad, again, it's just nice getting back to sort of doing this live stream, catching up with you guys. So if you want to support the channel, as always, you can become a member through Patreon or through YouTube. It really does help. As I say, I pay for all the miniatures, all the paints and brushes myself. I don't get anything for free. It also helps pay for like licenses for the software, and all the equipment I use as well to film. But I love doing it, but it's really appreciated, so it all goes straight back into the channel. And the next video is going to be it's going to be about how to base your miniatures. There are different ways to base your miniatures. Now I am going to be using the technical paints from Games Work, like the Citadel stuff, like the texture paints. just because it's on brand, but the video will go into sort of like the theory and ideas behind how to approach basing your miniatures, and then I'll just do examples in the video. The videos after that, I have no idea what I want to do. I don't really want to look too far ahead. I just want to kind of pick the videos I want to do in the moment. But I am going to be back live streaming in 2 weeks time, so it's always a video live stream, video live stream. Yeah, for the most part, unless I need a break for a week. Primarch Loan, my dad recently got me Lord of Change, the Carnifex Brood, and the new Tyranid Combat Patrol. Wow, you got a good dad then. Those are some good boxes. If you want something else that's a good choice to get for Tyranids is the starter box, like the elite starter box. The Tyranids is what I tend to buy, because you get your Space Marines and Tyranids in there, and it's a really good price for both of those. But I hope you enjoy painting them. It's probably going to take you more, it should be taking you more than a month to do all of those, so hopefully take your time with them and enjoy it. Daniel T, I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. It's been good just getting back into the live stream. But my voice is going now. So thank you very much, everybody. It's been a lot of fun talking to you all and answering your questions. A lot of great questions, and I always really appreciate seeing the same names and people coming back. It means a lot. But thank you again. So next Sunday, next video. Yeah. So I'll see you in that video, and then I'll see you in a live stream in a couple of weeks. Look after yourself. The flashiest get around. This is my first time tuning in for one of your live streams, and I really enjoyed it. Great chat. Thank you for your insight. I love doing these live streams, like I always say, because it's another great sort of way to interact with you guys outside of the tutorials. It's more of a personal interaction where you guys can ask me questions and I can sort of elaborate on more things. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's really important to have this engagement for you guys. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna always do as much as I can. So yeah, thank you again, everybody. I appreciate it, honestly. Thank you. Now I'll see you soon. Mark Sims, my camera's off, but I have read your message, thank you.